I think we're ready to rock.
We have enough pre-show
Yeah.
banter.
The pre-show is me biking here and, getting all sweaty and coming in here pretty hot.
Do you have a video of that?
No.
You should.
If you want to buy a GoPro, I'll put it on my bike.
I would love to have a pre-show.
You could do bike cam. If you want to fund the GoPro, I'll happily slap it on there. I'll put it on the front bars.
Can the Apple Vision Pro record?
No, I'm not wearing that. No, absolutely not.
Kevin,
there will be no images of me.
You're gonna wear it.
There will be no images of me with an Apple Vision Pro on.
No? Why?
No.
We would never disparage our favorite, best
No,
client
it's
here.
cool,
No.
but I'm going to keep it internal.
Honestly, I reviewed the tapes of what I said last week. I was a little too hard on the Vision Pro. I watch way more videos.
Yeah.
And the AR, VR situation there, I think I maybe misspoke a bit about on the show. This does not to be in the program, but that shit is fucking sick, dude. I'm gonna fucking absolutely I'm gonna need one of those. Strap it to my face.
Strap it to my
face immediately. 3, 2, 1. Kevin, what's up, buddy?
What's up? That wasn't very enthusiastic.
I'm so excited. I'm down playing it. How is that liquid death carbonated
Spicy.
mountain water?
The bubbles are spicy, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not how I would describe it. Spicy.
It's got bubbles. It's spicy.
Do you want to say real quick, congratulations to your 2023 NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Way to go. Nicely done. We don't want to talk about the NBA here too much. Or The Idol. You watch Idol?
I did not watch the second.
You didn't watch it yet?
I didn't watch the second episode.
I'll let you know that my prediction about the show going downward came definitely true.
Well,
that was a fast fall.
You got to get down to get up, right?
You do have to go down to go up, but where is the show going? I do not know. It is, I think at Cannes they showed them the first episode and the second episode, and it was universally panned. And now I understand. Because I thought the first episode was relatively good, and it was somewhat, I thought, negatively reviewed unfairly. That was my opinion. I thought it was entertaining and worth watching. Second episode, nosedive off a cliff. Not great.
Hate to see it.
We don't need to talk about entertainment or the basketball season because we have a special guest in the house. Special guest is here, physically, in the building. I'm in the building.
Yeah.
We're back in the New York groove.
We're all back together.
And we have a special guest who's being very quiet, and I like the sort of professionalism of
Good.
waiting for the intro before the guest speaks, which I do think a lot of our guests, they do not respect that.
Well, I have no value adds for anything sports related.
Okay.
So.
Well, we have a self-proclaimed bow tie wearing badass. No bow tie today, but Sam Houle, is that how I pronounce Houle?
Very
Nice.
good.
Hell
Yeah.
Specializes in leading brand transformations, visual system architecture, and positioning, as well as driving dynamic cross-channel solutions. Sammy, that's
Great.
yeah,
Thank
that sounds
you.
really good.
Yeah.
You're also naturally curious, conceptual leader, and an avid learner who can easily have a conversation with just about anyone. We will see how that
We'll
goes
see how
today
it stands up. Yeah.
with today.
Let's see.
A non-binary creative leader, Sam is very outspoken about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and continues to advocate for authentic, lasting implementation of these ideas in the workplace. After working with OneSite, Landor, and Magari-GC, Sam now works at Siegel+Gale. I definitely got that one wrong.
Yeah.
The global brand-led experience firm that has founded with a clear point of view, simple is smart. As an associate creative director, Sam imbues the power of simplicity with all the world-class clients. We're very excited to welcome Sam Houle to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
First question, how many bow ties do you have?
Probably about 10, and then regular like skinny ties.
Okay.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
rock
10
them every once in a while.
10 is a good number.
It feels like solid without going like off the cliff of bow ties.
Are you pretty good at tying the bow ties? 'Cause
No, I have
that's
to have
tough.
my wife do it.
Okay.
I have no idea how to tie them.
That was going to be my
Yeah.
first question. I've only worn a clip-on bow tie.
I don't do clip-ons. I just get assistance.
Yeah.
You know, like you
Okay.
really need that
It's
partner.
hard. I mean,
yeah.
I had one. I got one for prom one year, and it was untied, and I had to stop at Men's Warehouse and have somebody tie it for me because I just like
Incredible.
Mhm.
could not figure it out on the YouTube.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
You're going to love the way you look.
I did.
warehouse,
Yeah,
right?
it was good.
I will
good
say,
tie.
I can tie a regular tie pretty well. I feel like I've gotten that skill, but a bow
Yeah.
tie is a special skill.
It takes a village
Yeah.
for sure.
YouTube? Is that how you figured it out? I feel like that's how I would
Yeah,
try to go
just
about
Google.
figuring out. Just
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah,
general-
a solid Google and a couple videos, and you're good to go.
That's the answer to almost anything in life.
So true.
What type of tie knot are you tying?
Just like a standard one.
Nice.
None of
I
the
like
fanciness.
I like a little Windsor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tie a good
Nice,
tie.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're talking tie knots here.
I tie a good tie.
Love
I will
it.
say I wore a tie 4 out of 5 days last week. So
Really?
I
Wow.
genuinely was wearing much more ties. I had a rotation of ties. I realized that skinny ties, for me, I'm a bigger guy.
Yeah.
They look less cool on me.
Yeah, I stay away from skinny ties as well.
Yeah, because I had a bunch
Yeah.
of skinny ties from maybe back in my skinny era, where I had skinny pants and a skinny frame, and I had to go to the store to get some wider ties.
It's good. It's good. It's all balance, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
life is about balance.
Life is a balance.
It's about finding your center. That's what I like to say.
I love
Sam, you
Everything
are-
comes back to the center.
That's right. Sam, you're from Cincinnati.
I am.
You are our very first Cincinnati guest. I'm outnumbered by Cincinnati, Ohioans.
It's true.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Mason, Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
In Ohio. Kevin, how far is
Yeah.
that from where
Pretty
you grew
close. I grew up in Loveland.
Oh, super
Yeah,
close.
so east side. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Wow.
very close.
Where'd you go to high school?
Mason.
Nice, nice.
Loveland.
No, I went to Moeller.
Got you.
Yeah.
I played hockey on an all boys team for a local high school, not for Mason, but we played against Moeller all
Oh,
the time.
nice.
Yeah, we always got destroyed, but it was fun.
up? Our Cincinnati audience is going crazy.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
like,
Everyone else
"Oh
is like,
my
what?"
God, holy crap.
I've heard reporting through some mutual friends that maybe we have a tiny stronghold there.
What?
Good.
It's no Eastern Europe, but
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Our audience for the podcast is huge in Eastern Europe,
Great.
but I believe that our Cincinnati following is legit. At least on Instagram, I feel like we have a
Yeah.
lot of Cincinnati, and then
It's
I believe
probably
those are
just
just
It's
Kevin's
Kevin's
friends.
friends.
yeah. They're just all gassing me
Exactly.
up.
Very loyal.
Yeah,
Loyal friends.
That's
I like
really
that.
what it is.
That's great.
Yeah, you don't see any Long Island listeners because I don't have any loyal friends at all. The most important question we have to ask you, Sam, on the show, the number one thing we've all been waiting for: thoughts on Cincinnati chili.
It's a thing, and I am not a fan personally.
Kevin,
Alex loves shitting on Skyline.
I mean,
And
it's
Cincinnati
disgusting.
chili.
It's
not.
disgusting. It's gross.
It's not.
When you chug it during football season, when the Bengals
That
win,
was twice.
That it is grossed me out beyond any.
But yeah, that's
possible-
not that's not like the desired like consumption of
Delivery.
it.
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean,
what
it
is
sucked.
the desired consumption delivery?
Wow, over some spaghetti with some onions and cheese, and
Yep.
over some
Mhm.
hot dogs with onions and mustard and cheese. It's great.
Yeah,
You can't
all
tell me
that
any
sounded
difference.
So
It's-
bad. to
It
me.
is. It's pretty.
Sam,
it's a. You
I'm
know,
so glad.
I think
that-
you're just jealous. Long Island does not have a regional food.
We
What's-
have bagels.
Oh,
You ever
yeah.
heard of them?
I thought that was New York.
No, those are fucking Long Island,
Oh,
baby.
are they?
Yeah, no.
Is that where they were born?
Facts. Yep. Probably not, but that's what we made. We made that bitch famous.
Oh yeah.
When was the last time you were back in Cincinnati? Thoughts? Ever going back?
You know, I have family
Mhm.
there still, so I'll always have ties back to Cincinnati and lifelong friends, and so I definitely try to go back to visit every once in a while, and
Yeah.
definitely
going
not
on.
eat the
Yeah.
not eat the chili.
No.
But the only way I can actually eat Skyline chili or any kind of Cincinnati chili is through like Skyline dip.
Oh yeah.
It's like the only way. You have to have a thick layer of cream cheese and then like
Oh.
a very thin layer
Alex,
of,
you would
of
love
the
it.
chili, and then you
Ugh.
add just like a pile of cheese, and that's
Yeah.
like the only way I can maybe start to appreciate it.
I mean, that's something I in my younger years I could just eat a whole pan of, and then as I've grown up, I can like have a couple chips. It just really that fucks me up.
yeah, a lot of dairy, a lot of dairy.
I got to go back and try it again. I think that's to be fair to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
audience, to the chili. I think I've been pretty critical of this because the time that I did have it, I was fairly drunk at the end of a night, which I believe is when you're supposed to have it. And I thought it was
Yeah.
pretty disgusting. So I could only imagine what it would be like sober in the daylight. But I'm gonna have to give it
go
another.
back.
I
Yeah.
have to give it another shot, and we'll see what happens there. You mentioned playing hockey. Also read that you are a sort of speed skater. Is that true?
Yeah, I did hockey and speed skating growing
Okay.
up, which was really fun. Hockey was always something that I did and was a part of, and I think a lot of that was because of my brother. and
Okay.
just doing what he did and got into. And so we definitely were raised as a hockey family. And so it was a fun time. And so that kept me busy growing up and got
Cincinnati
into
Mighty
speed
Ducks
skating.
or Cincinnati Cyclones?
You know,
Which
we
one?
were Cyclones
Yeah,
fans.
that's cool.
And so we'd go to some of the Cyclones games.
Excuse me,
more
the
often.
Cincinnati Miami
Mighty-
Ducks.
Mighty
What is that?
Ducks,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mighty Ducks.
They had we had a like Mighty Ducks affiliate.
Yep.
We had 2 minor league hockey teams.
Which is
shit.
incredible.
Flex alert.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so sick, guys. Oh my god. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Nah, no big deal. Does Long Island have any minor league hockey teams?
We don't-
You guys
we
just have one professional team.
we have the Islanders. We have a professional hockey club. So
Hockey club.
we
That's
don't
sick,
need
dude.
minor league hockey. When's the last time you speed skated?
Oh, it's been years. It's been years.
So
Yeah.
are you pretty nice like out on Rockefeller Plaza, like when they put the ice out? Do you go? You
No, I
haven't been?
haven't yet. No, never. Because we
You
just
should.
moved to New York not that long ago.
When did
so-
you move here?
November.
Whoa,
okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How's it been so far?
Really-
Thoughts, feelings, reviews?
Really good. You know, I think my wife and I are trying to make our way through the city and do a little bit
Mhm.
here and there and just see all that there is to offer in New York City. And I feel like we'll never see everything, but excited to keep exploring. But we
Okay.
found really good gluten-free bagels. So that was
wow.
like the
Wow.
first thing on the list.
Wow.
Where at?
Modern Bagel and Bread. They
Okay.
are incredible.
Okay.
They are incredible. Really good bagels.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Sleepy Hollow,
Okay, so up north.
up north on the Hudson.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
beautiful up there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And do you work from home? You commute? You teleport?
Teleportations
Elevator
definitely, high on the list.
Helicopter?
Private jets.
Yeah. Into Siegel and Gale. Where is Siegel and Gale?
We just moved to Soho.
Okay.
So
Oh, nice.
it was actually our first day in the new office was yesterday. So it's
Ooh.
like
How was
a
it?
fresh move. I wasn't there.
Oh.
I know. I'm waiting for the Wi-Fi to make sure it gets settled in.
So are you in an office every single day or no?
Not every single day. We have more of a flexible
Yeah.
schedule,
Mm.
but we do try to make an effort to come in just because it's good to see people
Yeah,
work together on
absolutely.
stuff.
So Cincinnati, speed skater,
Yeah.
hockey player. How do you get into design? Where does design come into the picture here?
That's a good question. And I think, my mom and dad, both of their careers, I'm kind of like equal parts, both of them.
Okay.
My
What'd they do?
dad's in computers,
Okay.
and so works on a computer all day. And then my mom, an interior designer. And so it's just kind of like equal parts of them. But I really got into design in high school, actually, because my brother took a class in school and an art elective for digital arts. And he's like, "Oh, Sam, I think you'd like it. You should try it. Like, check it out. But don't worry, you'll never get 100%. Just know that going in." So I, of course, had to go take this class and prove my brother wrong, which I did. Got 100% on
Yeah.
one project, I think, and then just kind of fell in love with it from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I read that one of your first projects you got paid in vodka. How old were you when that happened?
Hold up, you didn't read that. We learned that on the
Don't, that's podcast secrets,
yeah,
Kevin.
my
You're
bad.
supposed to say, I read this.
Yeah, somewhere on the internet.
I thought you had your
How
facts
good at winking.
confused. My bad.
Kevin, I never get my facts confused.
My bad.
Vodka?
Vodka.
How
yeah.
old were you when you were getting paid in vodka for design?
Absolutely 21.
21.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Let's just keep that
Okay.
as 21. Yeah.
Absolutely
I'm pretty
not.
sure it gets fuzzy towards the
Mhm.
latter part of
Mhm.
my
And so
earlier years.
Definitely of the legal age.
Yeah,
Of
for sure.
course.
For sure.
Of
100%.
course.
Not
Of
definitely
course.
not underage.
No, not at all.
What was the project?
You know what? It was a company I'd worked for. It was a small startup that really, was super fun in the beginning of my career. And it was sports related. And so we did a lot of different things. And every once in a while, I'd get a bottle of vodka in my mailbox and a text message.
Did you get any money as well?
Yeah, I got
Oh,
paid
okay, well,
as
that's
well.
good.
But
Yeah,
there
cool,
was
cool.
also, some mailbox vodka surprises.
Oh,
every
well,
once
that's
in a
really
while.
nice. That's just like That's like a bonus.
It is like a bonus.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's
after a
just
long week.
a little extra, fun on the side.
I've never received one bottle of vodka at Center.
Should change that.
No,
That's
it's
not
okay.
true. Kevin, remember that box of liquor we found in the hallway?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
That's
a lot of that
fact.
stuff's still here.
Yeah.
That was just from
Yeah.
who knows? I don't
That
know.
was-
I don't even know who that was from.
There was someone
not
down
from you.
our hall that was they did like it was like a Bon Appetit type of blog. It wasn't Bon Appetit, but
Yeah.
they did like a lot of reviews of drinks and food, and I think they moved out of our building. This is a really fascinating, thrilling story for our listeners. And so Kevin got a giant box of
Of half
drank
full
and-
bottles.
yeah, which we're still consuming to this day. So is that the most absurd design sort of request or sort of payment? Do you have any other sort of bizarre graphic design war stories?
I don't think so. I think
No.
that's probably one of the better experiences, and
Yeah.
they were incredible to work with and partner with, and I learned a ton doing it. We were just like really scrappy trying to figure out what we were doing as we were building a business and stuff, so it was fun.
So your early career is agency, startups. What's One Site?
One Site is a 501c3 nonprofit
Okay.
affiliated in connection with Luxottica.
Okay.
So we were able to really work to eradicate the vision care crisis, which is
Okay.
still happening in the world. So, just an incredible group of people fighting.
Even after Mr. Beast solved all those people's blindness, it's still happening.
It is.
I thought he
is.
solved
You thought
that.
it was fixed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he did that.
Still not solved yet. Still not solved yet.
Okay, and so Luxottica, I think people are familiar with because they're like the overlords of glasses, right? They like Warby Parker really put Luxottica like on the map in a way that like every pair of glasses comes from one mega organization of glasses.
Yeah, they do own a lot.
And so they made them seem kind of like an evil overlord, but what you're trying to say is they actually do good things for people?
They do.
Wow.
They really, at least
Wow.
through my experience, and it was a great experience. I worked in-house for Luxottica, so it was really good early in my career to get just a taste of everything. I had a taste of the startup world through Luxottica, more of the in-house, and then with One Site, more of the nonprofit side. And that took me to some of the most incredible places in the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds like a good sort of like fit for you in terms of like a little bit of everything. And that's what I always say about in-house. Like,
Yeah.
you get kind of a crash course in how design works inside of a business
Very
and
true.
why design matters to a business,
Yeah.
which is ultimately to get people to influence them, to make them buy things, but also to do good things on the planet as well. It's not just about capitalism. Most of it is. But in some instances, it sounds like One Site is actually doing something that was helping people with vision. Vision is a huge problem around the world. People cannot see. I'm blind without my contacts or glasses. Kevin,
Yeah.
how blind are
I
you?
mean, these are just pretty much for fashion.
Yeah, you just looking cool.
No, I mean, I'm a little blind.
You're a little
My
blind?
eyes are really deteriorating quickly from looking
Yeah.
at a screen all day. Every
Yeah.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you need the Vision Pro
I know.
to really step that eye.
Bring it closer. Yeah.
yeah, get it right there.
Yeah.
Right, those pixels right there.
Yeah, I need
next
those
to your-
23 million pixels frying my eyes.
Yeah, that's going to be really good for people's vision, for sure. How bad is your vision, Sam?
I have an astigmatism.
Okay, so
so
do I.
it's just like
Yeah.
bad both ways.
Okay. In
Yeah.
both eyes or one eye?
Both.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty. I
both.
only have it in one eye,
That's good.
which is good, but it also makes it really hard for me to get contacts and glasses
Yeah.
because apparently you have to. It's like you're broken, and you can go to any store
Yeah.
and pick out a pair of glasses. Unless you have astigmatism, then they need to send out to some crazy
Get
lab and
things.
make something specific for you. From there, is that when you went to Landor? Like, the timeline here? One Site, then to Landor?
Yeah, I was at One Site, and we had an incredible president at the time working at One Site, and he sat down with me outside, and we were having a conversation, and I was just about ready to graduate, and he was like, Sam, you have a spot here until you're ready to go on to your next adventure. And he was just like so empathetic of where I was as a recent college grad, and he was like, we will have you here as long as you're willing, but don't move organizations until you're ready and you found
Mhm.
something you're really excited about.
And this was based in Ohio? Is this okay? So your career from one site to Landor to McGarrah GC or Jesse.
Jesse. McGarrah Jesse.
That's all in Ohio.
McGarrah Jesse's out of Austin, but I worked
Okay.
remotely for them when I was in Chicago. So really, I was in Cincinnati for majority of the beginning part of my career. Landor was a catalyst to getting me to Chicago.
Any secrets of the Landor and Fitch sort of like what, like in terms of their like principles, philosophies, like things you learned from Landor, like things that you would say you took with you to your next gigs?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from my colleagues that I worked with there, and specifically where we sat in our office in Cincinnati, I was sitting next to the retouchers and the realization team members. So I just got a crash course in the more technical side of design, which I never had before until I was able to join Landor, and like being able to really understand what a retoucher does or the production side of things was incredible.
Yeah. I sat next to a production person for a lot of my early career, and yeah, no, it taught me so much. Because I agree, like in design school, like at least where I went, they didn't teach you a ton of technical skills.
Mm-mm.
That was sort of more of a conceptual program, which I still think is what the right approach is, right? Teach people how to think, not how to make, because obviously how to make changes every year and will continue to change forever. But if you teach someone how to think and sort of come up with ideas, then you'll always be ahead. But that also leaves you in a bit of a strange spot when you get to your first job or one of your first jobs and you don't necessarily know the production art specifications of making mechanical die line
or how to read a die line
or retouching or things that like are kind of also part of the job. And so at least I can speak from my own experience, was like kind of just a crash course. Like when I got there, I was like, fuck, I don't know how to do a lot of these things. People help me, please.
It's almost overwhelming because you
Totally.
see design through a different lens. I think going into school and college, and I went to a fine arts school as well, so it was less emphasis on design and more about conceptual thinking and really evoking a story through your body of work. And I think your eyes do really open up when you see all that it truly takes to get something on a store shelf.
Totally. And YouTube now, like kids speaking for the ones behind the wall here, if they don't know how to do something, they just look it up on YouTube. They just, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Well, but didn't YouTube exist when?
No.
No, YouTube didn't exist back then?
No, not when I started my career. So, like legitimately, I think YouTube came around in like 2009, 2005.
Yeah, 2005.
Okay. So I guess
maybe 04.
Okay.
Maybe it probably wasn't as popping as it is
I don't think, at least in my recollection, I don't remember being able to be like, YouTube, how can I put a clipping mask on this Illustrator?
Well, there were no content
artwork?
creators back then.
Yeah, I guess
I was able to. I think I did like a healthy mix of both. I think some of the YouTube videos were like part helpful or part like more confusing than helpful. And so it was like right at the time where things were hit or miss of whether it would actually help or not.
I don't have a memory, unfortunately. But I don't remember being able to just look things up quite as easily. And I remember having to mostly ask peers.
Yeah.
And I think what I personally am thankful for, it sounds like you are as well, Sam, like those people around you that are like, hey, young person that looks maybe like they need some help, I am willing to sit down with you and help you. Yeah. And I think that's really important. And I think sometimes, here's what I'll say. Asking for help is an important part of being a designer. Mm-hmm. And I've had 3 people reach out to me this week that are 22-year-old creative directors.
Whoa.
And I'm not going to call them out by name.
No, do it. Come on.
But I think there's a sense, I'm going to sound like old man, sort of yelling at cloud here. But I think there's a sense from younger people, younger generation, that they know how to do everything. And that they know they have all the answers.
Yeah, we do.
And they do. But I think that is somewhat dangerous because I think sometimes you don't have the answers and that's okay. Like, I think it's totally okay to be like, I am just graduated or I've been a professional graphic designer for 3 years. I do not know everything that there is to know and I don't have this experience. And that's okay because other people will help you. Graphic designers, in my experience that I've worked with, are a kind and loving bunch. Sometimes they hold the bat behind your head while you're trying to make a file and they say, where's my file? That's just my personal experience. But like that is not the truth for most people. And I think most experiences are, hey, I am here to help you. If you have questions, let me know. And most people, I think, want to help other people, or they want to say, okay, cool. Like I'm here to give you my knowledge and my experience that I have from when I was in that same position.
Yeah. I think it's I think it goes both ways. I think, at least for me, I learn a ton from my designers every day, all the time. And I'm learning about different facets of culture that didn't come totally. Into, my generation, what have you. And I think it's just that dual side of being open to learn, but also being able to coach or teach or mentor in moments where you can provide something that to me, like I never want to stop learning.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I agree. Like I learn so much from the people that work here at Center, but I think they can also learn from me. I'm just kidding. No, I do think that it's a two-way street, and I think being open is what I'm saying. And I think that idea of that, like, yeah, like just because you're a 3-year-old designer does not mean that you need to know everything that this profession requires you to, you know what I mean? And I think that's okay. One of the things I find super interesting in your sort of story is that you're a founding member of an LGBTQ lead of Landers and Diversity and Inclusion Group. Can you talk a little bit about sort of like what year this was, sort of when this, like what this council did? And I would imagine, was this was, you said founding member. So talk to me a little bit about sort of like what that meant to you and sort of like what that was and, kind of what it led to ultimately in your career.
That's such a good question. Something that, in my career, it kind of found me in some respects. When I started at Landor, I did not come out in any way at work. I was very kind of reserved and private. And it probably took me about a year and a half of being there. And that was more on just my own personal comfort level of making sure and feeling comfortable in a corporate kind of setting to be who I am as an individual. And so through that, I started researching a lot more and learning from the HRC and realized that in Ohio at the time when we were working, I didn't have workplace protections. And while I never felt like my job was ever at risk from anyone that I was working with, from a state perspective, I could have lost my job. So I wanted and felt like I needed to start paving a way for other queer designers to come into any organization in Ohio and, kind of feel comfortable to be themselves and bring that to work every day. So that's really what started my passion in that area, was just out of necessity, to drive that awareness and understanding within Ohio and helping people and just leaving something slightly better than when you find it.
That's amazing. I mean, obviously,
good steward.
Yeah. I mean, branding and advertising both have a long history of not getting a lot of things right. I think that is, without getting too deep into that, it's just, we come from a Mad Men type world. Yeah. And that is something that is changing, but we have to remember it's newly changing. This is, stuff that was happening not more than 10, 20 years ago when these rooms were filled with mostly white, straight men that were leading a lot of these companies. Not to say that that's 100% the case, but it's just where a lot of the creative professional world, sort of comes from. And I think it's so important to have people that are like starting with how do we make these companies better? Yeah. Because obviously there's so much conversation about how companies help brands, and there's so many brands that are trying and failing at Pride promo right now. Yeah. And we could go into that, but I think what's interesting about what you said, has nothing to do with client work. It had nothing to do with how you help brands be more inclusive or how you help others. It's about starting with the company that you are working for first And that's really important, and mostly from a protection perspective.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to go back to the states,
Yeah.
that, it's that state protection and the state regulations. And I think what a lot of people maybe misunderstood at the time is that marriage equality equaled full rights for queer community members. And I think that's where some of that education and what I wanted to do in Landor is be like, wait, but look at this information and look at what this state's protections are, as opposed to what New York or some of our other offices are doing. And so how do we make more of an inclusive environment when it's not up to the organization in some respects? They can't go write a bill. They can definitely support and get involved and take a bigger stance. So that's really what we were kind of contending with at the time.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Coming from Ohio, which, again, I'm not talking about politics of Ohio, but it is not New York, and it's not, sort of as progressive.
They're a little behind.
They're a little behind, and that's, again, that's not their fault. It's fine. The chili's disgusting. That's fine. But like, yeah, they're maybe see things a little behind. And I think a lot has been made about, obviously, how companies are trying to get better, and they're working on it, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But it takes people inside of those companies leading the way, and I think also forcing companies to say, what are my rights, or what are we doing to try to make me feel comfortable in this space? And everyone has the right to feel comfortable, because I feel like as creatives, like, let's just be honest, we're emotional, we're sort of anxious, we're some of us are crazy, you know what I mean? Like we're artists, and that's part of who we are. But I think to make the best art, you have to feel comfortable, and you have to feel like supported. And I think even talking about sort of people supporting other people because they don't know skills, but it's also to feel supported in your job, to feel like I come to a place every single day and I can just be myself.
Yeah.
And I think that didn't exist 30, 40 years ago. I think people were wearing ties and maybe hiding who they were at home.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for the change that's happening and for people that do it. So thank you.
Yeah, starts from within.
Absolutely. It does. And I think it takes the culture too. When I brought the idea to HR, I was met with nothing but overwhelming excitement and welcoming spirit of like, yes, please, let's do this. And let's, get everybody involved in Pride and start to understand and learn about the community. And so I think it goes to where people definitely need to have the passion to make the change, but then that acceptance of being able to really implement those changes are great. So it was a small thing that kind of got evolved into much more of a regional global effort as time changed and expanded beyond what I would have ever expected.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think the more diverse people that again, if you make a place that feels welcoming to all people, then you'll get a wider, diversity of people that are inside your doors. And again, like what we do is for other people. Like so much of our work is for, society and culture at large. And if you're going to do work for people, you have to understand people. Because so many brands are failing at doing this, what do they need to know? Like, what do these brands, like, obviously, like we're talking about the organizations that do the work, the advertising, the branding work, the marketing for these brands. What are these companies that continue to trip over themselves, trying to, be supportive, be, brands that are allies or, sort of, a part of a changing a movement? What do they need to know, and how can they all stop failing so hard? From your opinion, obviously one person's opinion.
Yeah, I definitely do not speak for the entire community by any stretch of the imagination. But I think for me, if I, have clients that come to us or to me wanting support in that area, I always start by asking, well, what do you do internally? Do you have ERG set up? What are your healthcare? What does that coverage look like? Mostly when we start looking at, inclusive language and things like that. And so it's really kind of assessing where you are as an organization. Specifically for the queer community, the HRC does an incredible corporate equality index that can really help guide you to make sure your organization's inclusive. start partnering with organizations that can really get that good foundation for you internally, because I think you need to make sure that your employees feel safe and comforted in the space that they're working in, that they have the rights, that they have full access to all of what they need as a member of your team. And so I think that foundation's really important to then start to bridge into more external facing language.
Thank you for answering, and helping people out there that are in positions where they maybe don't feel safe or they don't feel like they have a voice. And I think it's important. And Sam, thank you for inspiring people and also encouraging what is seemingly a little too late, but is better than never.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's really sick that you've
Yeah.
you saw an issue in your workplace,
Yeah,
and then you took the steps to bring people in, and then rally the troops and get people stoked, and you created some support and raised awareness for these issues within your own organization. And that's
Thank you.
awesome.
And Landor is an older institution. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think that's what's important. That some of these institutions are have been around for a while, and they need to change. And listen, they need people like you that are going to champion that kind of change, and that's wonderful. We're going to shift gears a little bit, because how long were you at Landor?
Probably 7 years.
It's a long time.
It was a long time. I learned so much, and I think that's what kept me there as long as I was, and also just the acceptance that I felt, every day.
And that's another huge point. When you feel accepted and you feel welcome somewhere and you feel
You
supported
stay.
somewhere, you stay there. I was at Coke for
That's
10
how
years.
you do your best work.
Yeah. I was there for 10 years. And I think there were so many people I remember that were like, this place, I want to leave. And I'm like, yeah, but is the grass greener? And are you just saying that because you had a bad day versus going somewhere? I always felt supported. I always felt, encouraged. I always felt welcomed. I always felt, like it was home. And I think that's
great.
really important. And I think it's
You got to hit that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
That's
Gotta
right.
hit that pyramid.
That's true. We're constantly thinking about Maslow. That's what I think about every day when I walk in here. It's Maslow's needs. How can I fulfill them for my people? Siegel+Gale. That's the current place of business. How long have you been with them?
I think now just probably about over a year.
Yeah.
I think I might have, or I'm just coming up on a year.
How important was the fact that they had two names, Landor and Fitch and Siegel+Gale? Was that something that you really
I think I just work for brands with plus signs and ampersands.
That's right.
I
Okay.
think that's just my,
Yep.
thing. And Magera
Yeah.
Jesse, we just need to add a plus.
That's
but
true.
Yeah.
Two
names.
different founders.
Yeah.
So I think there's something in that for my career
You could
path.
say you
true.
like interesting characters.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I like a good origin story.
Yeah.
Coming from somebody,
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's no longer Sagmeister and Walsh, but
that
could have been
a
place.
great, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Siegel+Gale, there was sort of a lot of mention about simplicity
Mhm.
and sort of this idea of an economical design mindset, sort of simplicity reigning supreme. Is simplicity really best, Sam?
I think the misconception sometimes around simplicity is that to me as a
Mhm.
designer, it's not minimalism.
Okay.
And so I think simplicity for me personally is taking something extremely complex
Okay.
and finding a really intuitive, easy human way to deliver it to whoever your consumer is, whether it's a B2B brand, a B2C brand, doesn't matter. And so for me, it's all about, does it work? Is it intuitive? Can you interact with it? Is it visually communicating things as quickly as you need to see something? So I think that's an interesting tension around the word simplicity.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would think minimalism, which I agree is it is interesting because minimalism is sort of finding its way somewhat out the door, and maximalism is in. More is more at this moment. And I think that's a good thing. Ultimately,
That's what the kids are saying.
the kids are saying more is more. Personally, I love things that are simple and make sense.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but it is interesting to think about sort of a more is more mindset, and sort of how we can get abundance and how we can, how we can flip the paradigm and go for it all. But I agree. Ultimately, less is more when it comes to ideas, when it comes to having a really strong, simple execution
Yeah.
that's rooted in something that people can understand. I
Yeah.
believe that to be true. Whether it's expressed maximally or minimally, it still should be simple.
Yeah. Yeah, or easy to use. And I think a lot of my in-house experience have helped. Like, even if the end output aesthetically looks in line of maximalism, you
Mhm.
still have to make sure that someone can recreate this quickly. You know, I can definitely empathize from working in-house, how quickly you need to flip things sometimes, or you need to make it adapt to a ton of things. And so that's where simplicity can fit in. And so to me, it's more of a methodology of delivery in some respects rather than that like end output.
Is that because people are stupid?
Yeah.
No, it's just because it's complex. And
No.
when I was working in-house, I would have like 20 projects that needed to get out all at the same time. And, you're designing everything.
So people are stupid.
I was talking about.
We can agree.
I was talking about consumers.
Yeah.
Not
Consumers.
Designers.
Obviously
designers
are
are smart. We can all agree there. But people generally dumb as shit. We can all agree there, right? No.
Consumers. Yeah.
Consumers. The general public.
You just, they don't take enough time at shelf. That's consumers. It's just that quick.
Yeah,
quick
designers
glance.
do. That's what the show is based on. Is designers are smart, people are stupid. That's the alternative.
I mean, I go into stores and
you're just looking
wow,
at stuff.
there it goes.
Oh, we were waiting for the box to fall, and there it is.
I have two hats. I have a critical, design thinking guy, and then I got dumb consumer guy.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I mean, I get got in the grocery store all the time.
Yeah, find a guy who can do both, or what's the fucking quote? I don't know.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that's close enough. No, people are stupid. Simplicity and easy to use. I agree when it comes to sort of design systems, and because I do think a lot of times designers, we do like to make things complicated because we are so smart and so adept at sort of critical thinking. But the average person, maybe not so. And so you do have to make things, I believe, that people can understand. I think sometimes, I think a lot of times there are things that go over people's heads, and I think there are a lot of times that
like the FedEx logo. Like not everyone, knows there's an arrow in there.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of that. It's that subtlety that you get as a consumer over time that's really lovely. It doesn't have to be so in your face and obvious.
Absolutely.
But it's there, and when you see it, you can't unsee it. And so it forever changes how you see that identity.
It's getting pretty hot right now. There are a lot of like TikTok creators who are like recreating like sports logos, and they're like, here's like a bunch of like hidden imagery that I like, hid in the shadows on this like dog illustration.
Yeah. There was a Cleveland Browns logo contest, which was inspired from a TikToker.
The TikToker didn't even win.
The TikToker did not win,
sad.
But they basically made, there were dozens of entries where they made like dog faces that had like, different lakes from this, or different buildings.
Yeah, it was
from
like a guitar pick in the collar, and like Ohio in the ear, and like
it's like all Ohio in the ear.
Yeah, like a section of the stadium on the collar.
Yeah,
it's just like
how many different references and shapes can you put inside of a logo that have dual meaning,
and then have it reproduced at all sizes.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
the true challenge.
So that's apparently very hot, and it's the arrow inside of FedEx is inspiring a new generation of designers.
Every single stroke is going to have a meaning.
Yes, yeah, you can't make something without meaning. Sam, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about some topics. I'm going to jump right to WeWork. WeWork is a co-working space. You guys heard of WeWork?
I have.
WeWork had a bit of a controversial founder story. I don't know if you've watched that show on Apple TV Plus as well. It was a sort of recreation of the WeWork origin story. Jared Leto played Adam Newman. There's been multiple documentaries about WeWork. Everything about sort of how they were, they had a huge moment, but they also had a sort of, kind of a crazy founder and a sort of crazy origin story. But again, a lot of brilliant people are crazy people as well. And but sort of they need to shake off that story. I think they're, again, needing to find a way to, kind of put that behind them. And in a weird way, WeWork is also perfect for this moment, right? We talk about offices and sort of how most people are sort of working in this sort of like hybrid way now, and there's a new office landscape. And so a lot of ways, like having WeWork, it's like the right product at the right time for a lot of people. But I think they needed to sort of rewrite some of the sort of problematic or potentially, the narrative and the feeling that I think people have about WeWork, which has been negatively impacted by a lot of different factors. So they have a new identity. It's done by Franklin. And I'll start by saying it doesn't change much. It works some of the typography. It's a little bit more legible. The W's don't connect anymore. But outside of that, it is a really beautiful and really clean and simple, sort of identity system. Custom typeface. The work is done by Franklin, and I think they did a nice job with it. My main critique and challenge is it just doesn't feel like a rebrand. It feels like a polishing refresh, and I don't think that it's going to change too much of people's perception of the brand. I think the average consumer, as we talked about before, not that they're stupid, but just that they're not looking at the W's quite as much as the average graphic designer is. And I think for me, if you're trying to change the way that people feel about a brand, trying to change the narrative, you have to signal change. And in my opinion, this isn't really signaling change as much as it feels like something that like is just tightened, I guess. And I think tightening something is something that you should do if you have a brand that doesn't have an identity crisis and is beloved and maybe doesn't need to change its public perception. But I think this isn't going to do that, in my opinion. I don't blame Franklin for that. I imagine that's something that, they knew going into the project, or something that they were directed to, which is we want to update, but we don't want to change.
Yeah, I mean, I think when a lot of organizations find themselves in a tough position, there is typically, at least what we've seen historically happen for some other organizations in similar places, is more of a radical departure from the identity. So I was too surprised to see. I think it's a beautiful refresh. I thought the illustration was incredibly beautiful, and I thought there was a really nice balance. That they had a beautiful story around this you and we, and how the business kind of took on more of these simplified graphic shapes, and then more of that like personal expression came in through gestural line work. It was just really refreshing to see such a distinctive approach to illustration come through, and through the animations, I thought it was activated in a really beautiful way. I was surprised, but I think the refresh and what they did with it is quite lovely.
Yeah, I like the illustrations as well.
Me too.
In my brain, I'm thinking, how long is it before we see the next like rough kind of charcoaly type illustrations from a tech company?
Yeah.
I agree. I think the illustrations are the strongest part of this. I think like sort of delineating between like furniture and people was really nicely done here, and sort of all the furniture and sort of feels very sort of flat, and all the illustrations and the humanity part comes through, and in all these different ways about how we are now working in all these different new ways where you may be in your house, you may be in an office, you may be at a coffee shop, you may be in a conference room, and kind of all these different ways in which we work. In some ways, like WeWork is perfect for that, and it does make a lot of sense to try to like turn the page and move forward. And I think, I guess I was hoping for maybe something a little bit more drastic. But listen, I also understand that they got probably a ton of buildings with that logo really big on the side of it, and massive, sort of a multi-million dollar sort of renovation would be required to, change 700 locations. So I also understand that, but they did make a change, but it's just very subtle. So listen, I think it's a beautiful job. I think it's nicely done. I think the new logo is better. I think the typography is better. I think everything about it is better. But I just think as someone that identity crisis is the right word to say, or just had some baggage when it came to sort of like people's perception of it. Like literally there's documentaries on every network, Hulu, Netflix, HBO, about sort of how, problematic and, sort of how the company culture and all that stuff was really damaging to the people that work there. You have a recreation of the show with like superstar Oscar, winning actors and actresses. Like it is tricky to try to just pretend like that doesn't exist and just kind of move on. But I will say I've seen a lot of that's what they're trying to do, I think. And I've seen a lot of TikTok ads actually about WeWork, and very recently, like within the last like couple of weeks here.
Yeah. Have you ever worked at a WeWork or been to a WeWork?
Me?
Anyone? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
They're pretty nice.
No, WeWorks are beautiful, and they are. Yeah, no, they're a great place to work. I've had many meetings, and I've had, my wife had a WeWork for a second in the very first WeWork office.
Did they have some nice amenities?
Yeah, of course. Like it's a great place to work, and it's a really brilliant idea, right? People don't need to have offices, and they don't need to have, sort of like all the overhead of like printers and coffee machines and all the stuff. You can just plug in and, get a pass and get a space and sit down and work. So, and I think it's more relevant right now than maybe it ever has from a product perspective. I just think the brand of WeWork is just, like I said, it needs to be, it needs a change. And this is, I don't know if it's going to change, but it's a start. And I think that's ultimately what they're trying to do. And these TikToks are kind of funny to me because they're like, have you guys heard about this new place called WeWork? And it's just like, I think everyone knows about WeWork. Like, you can't like pretend like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like very hip, cool people talking about WeWork. And I'm like, guys, I think we're forgetting that everyone knows WeWork, and we're just, we're trying to erase the people's memories or just say, hey, move on, move on. But hey,
they did. Didn't they?
But also, like, I guess don't brands like people deserve second chances? I guess, right? Like, Adam Newman is long gone. He's not a part of this anymore. It's a new group of people, and I imagine they've learned a lot from the mistakes that they've made. So let's give a brand a second chance. How about that?
Sure.
Is that a positive way
wow,
to
that's
be
very
here?
positive. Yeah.
As a design podcast,
Yeah,
like,
they put a little bit more space in the W, and now they get a second shot.
That's right. That's all you need. A little bit more clarity, and again, people can make mistakes. Speaking of comebacks, Kevin, Grimace is back.
Oh yeah.
I had to Google. I was like, what is Grimace? Because I remember being a kid and like the McDonald's cookies, and Grimace was always around. And so from what I gathered, he's either a purple blob or a taste bud.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I learned about Grimace this week.
I thought he was like a purple chicken nugget. I don't know. I mean, that's what my little kid brain has held on to for all these years.
Wow.
Purple chicken nuggets.
That's a great question. What is Grimace?
So you got some clarity on it?
I think I don't think there's like a definitive, I don't think we can really put a label on Grimace.
What is Grimace supposed to be?
It's just Grimace.
He's just Grimace.
Ready for this one. McDonald's has previously suggested, this is just a rumor, that Grimace may be a swollen purple taste bud.
I didn't get the swollen purple
Swollen?
taste. I just got that it was a
It's
taste
an odd
bud.
detail to
like
add
a very
on
large taste bud.
Yeah.
The embodiment of a milkshake or a taste bud. Wow, I never thought that. I'm with Kevin.
I mean, taste bud's a great like concept to get behind for a like fast food mascot.
wow,
I really enjoy.
I just
that.
assumed just like shaped blobby character, but taste bud has now broken my brain. Like what? So Grimace is a character that was introduced in like the 60s, I believe, and so, or actually no, let's do the math. Was introduced in the 80s. I don't know. Grimace is 51 years old.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
whatever that.
2023 minus 51.
Clearly, we're not the math people.
I don't do math.
And neither do I.
Let's look at that. 1972, I guess.
It's 51.
Yeah, that's 51 years ago. Shout out to math.
It's an odd birthday to celebrate, like this big. Like they did they have like the Grimace meal with the Grimace shake, which looks kind of good. I mean, I might.
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not a huge McDonald's enjoyer, but I might. I mean, I probably won't, but in theory,
But you're
I would maybe.
tempted.
Yeah, I'm
You're
tempted.
tempted.
So Grimace is back, and we're celebrating Grimace's 51st birthday.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. we're introducing a milkshake, a purple Grimace colored milkshake, and a Grimace birthday meal, which comes with a choice of a Big Mac or a 10-piece nugget, a fries, and the special purple shake.
Yeah.
The pastel lavender treat is made with vanilla soft serve and berry flavored goodness.
Okay.
And we also have a Grimace inspired merch collection that includes t-shirts, socks, and even a pool floaty. And they're even creating a sort of Grimace themed racing game.
Alex was playing the racing game
I did
when we were
play
doing
it.
our little meeting, our little pre-show meeting last night, and
Yes.
I
Was
don't
it
know,
fun?
He sounded like he was doing all right.
There was
Played
a
it
lot
for
of
a while.
setup for the game. You had to go through lots of storytelling, sort of introductory, sort of when you play a game and they're giving you the backstory before you can actually start.
Yeah.
That happened to me for 2 minutes. I was like, oh man, I need to get to this game real immediately. Yeah. And it was not very fun, but you were able to skate. Here's the big thing, and you already brought it up. Why the fuck are we celebrating a 51 birthday? What happened last year? You know what this feels like? They were Grimace's 50th birthday party. They had a lot of plans and they just weren't able to pull it off. 51 is so random.
Yeah.
To bring this character back, who I feel like I haven't seen in a long time, and then to be celebrating the 51st birthday and making the birthday the center of this whole new marketing campaign feels so strange.
Well, they did that big merch drop last summer with I can't remember the brand they worked with.
Cactus Plant Flea Market, right?
Maybe it was Don't Trip or something like that.
Yes.
But I bought a Hamburglar shirt because it was great. They did really good merch, and they had no Grimace merch. He was on maybe one shirt in the crew. It was kind of weird, and what are they holding on to Grimace for? And then
Here it is.
if you remember maybe 6 months ago, beginning of the year, they were the Hamburglar's back. So I think they're rolling out all these old nostalgic characters, getting some play on them. Maybe they're gonna roll them out one at a time. I don't know, but yeah, I agree. 51 is a little weird, and also the merch is
Yeah.
I think they could have maybe collaborated or push it a little further.
Yeah,
I sound like Alex here.
Sam, I always say I don't push things further. That's my big sort of creative direction brain. What do you think, Sam? Are we feeling characters? How do you feel about McDonald's nostalgia?
I'm here for it.
Okay.
I think it's pretty fun. It definitely felt really nostalgic for me. It made me actually think about my Nana, who's passed away. She worked at McDonald's for many years, and so it just kind of brought me back into the time where I could run in and see her and experience the mascots that were there. So I definitely think for me it hits a little bit more personally. And I'm 51, you celebrate it. You celebrate whatever birthday.
Alex just
any
being a
birthday is worth celebrating. So I'm here for it.
I just feel that it is a bit odd that
It's kind of why I like it.
Yeah, we're celebrating 51 because clearly 50 would have been a really nice big round number. But I'm now looking on the McDonald's fandom page, and yeah, he was a purple character debuted in 1971 as evil Grimace. These characters they do have a tinge of sort of 70s and 80s characters, and I think it's interesting. We're talking about trends and things, how they cycle through. I think. Yeah. For a while, these characters would have been seen as super bizarre and strange. And I think now that we're kind of entering this sort of the strange weirdness of brands in a way, we're welcoming these type of characters. And Grimace's, the McDonald's Twitter page turned to Grimace, and it's sort of, they were sending some somewhat strange, weird, horny, potentially Grimace tweets. Did you see this, Kevin?
I didn't see any horny tweets.
Neither did I.
They were sending kind of screen grabs that were suggestive of Grimace, just being showing little parts of Grimace's body. So
are you projecting this?
I believe
wow.
Listen, what I saw is maybe different than what the average person saw.
Maybe it's what you wanted to see.
But there was definitely some interesting Grimace McDonald's social media activity, and we've talked a lot about brands being more experimentational on social media and kind of playing up their weird sides, I guess, is just how I'd call it. And I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right? I like when brands get a little weird.
Grimace had his own ad on the NBA Finals last night, and you'll never guess who was the narrator.
Who was it?
It was Brian Cox, a.k.a. Logan Roy from Succession.
Really? With Grimace?
Yeah. He was narrating the commercial.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like it. I like that characters are back. I like that they're getting weird. I agree with you. The merch collection here is a little.
I want more purple.
Yeah, it's not really fun
Give
and
me that
wearable
purple
enough.
bucket hat,
Kevin, I looked it up. Yeah, it's Cactus Plant Flea Market, which is the brand that did sort of the last, which is like a cool streetwear fashion
Yeah, it's
brand.
really
So it's like,
cool.
if you're gonna do merch, I think if you're a giant corporation, you're gonna do merch. Like, find a good partner.
Yeah,
to
bring
do
some
it.
experts in.
Yeah, bring some experts in
Like
and
us.
just and don't expect that other people are gonna just gonna want to wear a shirt because it has Grimace on it. Like, find a way to make it wearable because people do want to support things like weird characters from McDonald's history. But
Absolutely.
I think people like Kevin, who Kevin, dressed up like the Hamburglar.
Yeah,
couple
even
years
though
ago.
my childhood alliance was Burger King. That was more
Mm-hmm.
my spot.
I'm also now doing a lot of sort of research here into other characters. Mayor McCheese, Captain Crook, Hamburger Patch. There's some characters I'm not familiar with. Uncle O'Grimacy. Okay.
They're all coming back.
They're all coming
They're
back.
they're all gonna have their own moment, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And
I'm here for it. Bring them all back. I will say the shake feels like the only thing that's somewhat new here. And I did read a review. This is some heavy research I did. Someone said it just tasted really artificial.
oh,
This
that's
was the
McDonald's.
product review.
I don't know. That you go to McDonald's to get a berry shake. I don't know. What do you expect? It's not gonna be. They don't have fresh berries in the back. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the blackberries are coming from the local farm.
Yeah, pick them right off the vine.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Moving on, Slurpee gets a brand refresh. Slurpee, Kevin revealed some very interesting facts before the show. Kevin, can you let our listeners know what that fact was about Slurpees?
I've never had a Slurpee.
What the fuck, Kevin?
Like
You
I've never had a
Slurpee?
7-Eleven Slurpee. I've had like a slushie.
Sam, what do we do? Should we just pause the show and
I
stop
think
right
we
now?
got to go.
I've had an
I know.
icy.
I think we have to go and fix this situation.
Yeah. So Slurpees are trademarked of 7-Eleven. That's probably why, right, Kevin? Because you've never been to a 7-Eleven?
I've been to 7-Eleven. I've been to 7-Eleven.
But you never were like, oh, I'm familiar with these iconic frozen beverage.
I'm familiar with the Slurpee. I just have never.
Mhm.
I've never gone to 7-Eleven and purchased a Slurpee. I've been to other gas stations and gotten their ices and slushies, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
But I've never had a Slurpee.
Well,
This
I
is a
think
sad day.
we need to immediately write.
I
this
mean, there is a
wrong.
7-Eleven pretty close to where I live, so maybe
There's
I'll
also
maybe
one
I'll snag
around the
one.
corner here.
Is it really?
Yeah, there's one right down the block.
Oh,
Right
okay.
by Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
Okay, so 7-Eleven has it's one of their most famous brands. I think is the Slurpee. Right. I can't think of any other sort of like brand in the 7-Eleven universe, but we have a rebrand, a complete new identity and a logo, a giant S that is sort of in the general sort of flow of how a Slurpee comes out of a machine. I think it's really cool. And we have a quote from 7-Eleven's Marissa Jarrett, who is the 7-Eleven CMO. And it's my first quote here on the program that from a CMO that I actually find really refreshing.
Yeah,
much
absolutely.
like a Slurpee on a hot day. Quote, I like to say it's the drink that there's not really no good reason why it should exist, but also that's exactly why it should exist.
Fucking right.
It does not really have a reason to exist, and that's why it should exist.
Yep.
Perfectly said. It's not like other drinks. It's a frozen carbonated beverage. I guess there's carbonation in this machine.
Again, yeah, it's spicy.
I don't spicy.
Allegedly, I've never had it.
7-Eleven's flavored slush wormed its way into a plastic cup for the first time in 1966, meaning that customers have been drinking Slurpees for close to 6 decades. Now, finally, has its own logo and its own brand, and of course, its own merch. Sam, what do we think?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love a good Slurpee. I'm here for it. I have had a Slurpee before many, many times.
Congratulations, rub it in a little bit
Thank
more.
you, thank you. I definitely fancy myself an icy connoisseur of sorts, and so Slurpees are definitely at the top of the list for me.
At the top, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought the refresh was really welcomed, and I thought there was a little hint on their website of the pattern
Mm-hmm.
that came to life, and I'm really excited to see how that unfolds. And it's the identity, the S kind of interlocking in this kind of continual angular pattern that was really kind of a beautiful touch that I'm curious to see how they play out. And some of the ad spots, really made me want to go get a Slurpee immediately. They had these very iconic, intro shots where you just saw this macro, shot of a cup. And then there was a really beautiful sonic that came with it where it's just all of that icy goodness kind of dropping into a perfect dollop. And I'm like, man, I really need to go get a Slurpee.
It works.
Yeah.
It works.
Anything goes. That's the campaign.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Actually, no, sorry. Anything flows. That's the campaign.
There we go.
Interesting. I didn't watch the commercials, but I applaud you, Sam, for watching. And here's my one piece of critique. Anything flows, and the shape of this S icon, it's just reminding me a bit of the poop emoji. It's got a bit of a poop emoji feel to it. And that is something that I'm going to have a hard time getting out of my brain.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the top of a Slurpee, you kind of,
I get what you're saying.
I
I get what you're saying here. I think we should probably move on. But there's another good quote from sort of Marissa Garrett. She says, "Beverages are competitive industries. There's so many different options. So why would anyone choose a Slurpee over something else?" And I think that is a really good question. There's so many different things that are happening in the sort of 7-Eleven shelves and the sort of coolers. And yeah, it's a unique drink. So fucking lean in.
Did she have an answer for that question?
Nope. Just a question. Just a question.
Fuck yeah. That's CMO. Yeah. Top tier CMO right there.
Yeah, I guess the answer is that it's a Slurpee. And it's unlike anything else. Yeah. So that's why you should get it.
It's because you want a Slurpee. That's why somebody would choose it.
Yeah. It's a destination. Mm-hmm. You go for the Slurpees, unless you're Kevin.
I'll go get a Slurpee.
You have to.
Yeah, I will.
You have to.
I promise.
I think the logo is awesome. I think the design of this is great. I'm watching the commercial right now without any sound. It's fantastic. I'm looking at the merch. The S is really well deployed across a lot of different things. AirPod cases, plush toys, dad hats, socks,
everything.
T-shirts.
I know.
Okay, maybe a little too many pieces of merch here, but hey, look, you know what?
Is there such a thing?
You had fun with it. And a cropped hoodie, a crew neck, multiple tote bags. Okay, maybe we went too far. But honestly, I think some of this is well designed, and I think the most important part is this S feels like a fun, playful visualization of what it's like to get a Slurpee. Kevin would not know. Sam and I, very familiar.
Yes.
I just love seeing just fun, creative work. That really gets me going.
Yeah.
It just looks like they had a good time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It looked fun.
Yeah.
And it should be. It should be a fun process,
Absolutely.
mostly for a fun product like a Slurpee. And, you take the same level of seriousness. And if you put fun in, you're going to get fun out. And I think one of the pieces of
Fun in,
swag
fun out.
I
Wow.
love,
Wow.
it's
That might be the episode title right
There
there.
you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, fun and fun out, yeah.
But what I loved, one of the merch pieces, they did Slurpee umbrellas for your drink. And it's just only a Slurpee could do that because it's got the right consistency. So I love unique moments like that with swag collections that can only be done for your product. And so I thought that was a really cool moment amongst all of just the fun print and pattern that was happening. But that swag piece, I was like, right on, Slurpee.
Are y'all calling them swag collections at Siegel+Gale? 'Cause that's kind of goes hard. I don't know.
I think that, it's a swag collection.
It is swag collection. Yeah.
Yeah, no, when people say swag, I think it always is intriguing to me. I use it sometimes. I think I use merch now more because swag makes me uncomfortable because calling something both swag, which is what it is, but also the sort of slang term swag. It's just a little too confusing for
Yeah,
my brain.
That's fair.
My definition of swag is 07 Soldier Boy swag.
Yeah.
Turning
Very
it on.
true.
Yeah, you have to turn it on. But the way to turn it on is often by wearing a piece of swag.
Yeah.
From a branded corporation.
Swag.
Yeah. Swag. No, I agree. What I love about this is that it is a uniquely summer product. I feel like you can get a Slurpee in the winter. There's no one denying that or declining you at the store. But it is a deeply summer thing on a hot summer day to go to your local 7-Eleven, promo code front and center to get a 99-cent product. It's a cheap product.
Really? It's 99 cents?
It's you can get a million ounces of Slurpee for like $2.
I do love the Slurpee Day content where people are bringing in like fucking buckets, like
Yeah.
gallon
Yeah.
buckets, and filling it up, and then like
Yeah.
the store clerk is like, "Get that out of here! Like, what are you doing? Like, that is not like you can't fill that up in here."
Remember, like a couple of years ago, there was some sort of like soda ban where you couldn't get like giant sized sodas anymore.
I think that was just in New York.
Was it just in New York? Okay.
Yeah.
That does not apply for Slurpees. You can fill whatever container you can fill
Yeah,
with
it's
a
not a soda.
Slurpee. You can, you're legally allowed to. And they, I believe 7-Eleven really pushes the limits on what is a cup and what is a trough.
yeah.
I think those are, something that Slurpees, only Slurpees.
I have like a memory burned in my head of like the Speedway ones where they had those like giant like probably like 64-ounce like reusable cups that looked like a coffee mug with the straw coming out.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Another fun fact about Slurpees, in my opinion, is like while if you go to a movie theater and you get like a little Coke and a little 7-Up and a little root beer and a little something else, like that's disgusting and gross. When you do that with a Slurpee, totally acceptable. Like that is 1000% part of the experience. That, in my opinion, is something that they could have played up here. I think it's very common knowledge to get like a little cherry, a little Coke, a little blue raspberry, like just mixing all those flavors up and to
Well, that's
create
probably why they did the gradient now.
Yeah,
Right.
the gradient I think is supposed to harken to that, and there's
You
a
know,
spot
you know
that
what?
celebrates it.
You
a
guys
little
are
bit
really
more.
smart. That's why you're both here, and I think this is a good place to end the show. Thank you so much, Sam. We really appreciate you coming on and talking about literally so many random things, but somehow Kevin is going to make all of this sound coherent and professional and acceptable for a human audience.
Great.
The best audience in the world. Our listeners, thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. Congrats on everything that you've done and your amazing career. And thank you for looking out for people. Not enough people do that.
Do you want to plug anything?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Do you want to plug anything?
No, I'm just
Cool.
happy to be here today.
Not even your dog's Instagram, which we
Yeah,
didn't get
even
around.
talk about.
You didn't even talk about my dog.
We didn't
He's
want to
the best.
overshadow your career and story because your dog
You
is
should.
very famous.
Thank you.
We
He's
didn't
very
wanna-
cute.
yeah.
He has more followers than I do.
We didn't want to bring it up.
It's
but,
fine.
yeah.
I embrace that about him. I
Yes.
can be secure in my success while letting my dog just
Well, I feel like
shine.
there's a push, like from where I'm seeing it. There's a push for the dog to like,
Ooh.
the social media presence is going.
Yes.
It's going towards the
Sam
dog, right?
is comfortable being a bit behind the scenes
of
while the
course.
dog is
He's
front and
cuter than
center.
me.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
he's adorable.
The dog is pretty cute.
The
Thank
dog is
you.
adorable.
Thank you.
What are we thinking monetization wise about this dog's career? We thinking movies? We thinking photo
No,
shoots?
none
like,
of that.
oh,
I'm not
what?
going to be a stage parent.
What?
I want him to live the best life he can while he is on this earth.
Oh,
Wow.
what a mistake.
He just
Honestly,
needs
it's
to
just-
like celebrate life, and the Instagram's really for my parents so that they can
Wow.
see all of his cute photos.
Wow.
You
That's
know?
really.
He's just his
That's very pure.
cuteness deserves to be shared.
So no dog shows.
No.
No, he doesn't need that. He just like lives his life and
No
goes
branded
to the
content.
river and no brand. Yeah, he just lives his life.
Brand partnerships.
You're telling me if Pepperoni knocks on your door, you're not going to answer?
Yeah.
Well, he's allergic to a lot of
Oh.
stuff, so he would be a terrible rep for pepperoni.
Okay.
Sam, you know what I've
That's
learned
fair.
here today is that you're a very good person,
Thanks.
and you do things for the right reasons, and for that, I'm very confused.
Good. Glad to bring
You're
that
looking out
in.
for other people, and you want your dog to be happy.
Yeah.
Like you
He
want other
deserves
people to
that.
be happy.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
Kevin.
What a wholesome note to end on.
It's
Yeah,
probably because I
well-
drink Slurpees all the time. It's just like the sweetness
Yeah.
raging through
There you go.
my veins.
You've quite literally drinking the Kool-Aid.
I have.
The frozen
The
carbonated
frozen.
Kool-Aid, available now at 7-Eleven. Go get one for the summertime. A refreshing, delicious beverage. Thank you.
All right.
See you next week. Peace.